Most meditators commonly find this problem because of thoughts, rushing of thoughts, tornadoes, storms of thoughts going around in the mind in meditation. Because of this, people often think that meditation is a form of concentration and it must happen. I must run away from these thoughts. They think that meditation is to hold the mind on a particular object. This is far from the case. Today, I would like to go into greater depth and explore the subject of meditation. Meditation is not a skill that we learn. Neither it's a knack that you either have or don't. I would like to propose that meditation is something very natural to us. It is something that we already know, and even something that we already do. Now, according to this understanding of meditation, everybody meditates, though each person meditates on different objects, on different ideals. This depends upon our individual interests and aims. You'll find one person meditating on their job perhaps, another perhaps meditates on a job that they wish they had. People meditate on so many things, so many objects. These examples represent case of accidental meditation, shall we say. You are not sitting down and trying to meditate on these things. It just happens that way. Somehow, your mind becomes occupied with an idea and runs with it. Do we really choose these objects? Does the mind occupy the position of a servant, or has it become our master? Meditation is natural, but the meditation of the unregulated mind is not so beneficial. It does not transport us from restlessness to peacefulness, or from dissatisfaction to contentedness, from disturbance to stillness, from passion to compassion, or from selfishness to selflessness, or from heaviness of the heart to the lightness. In order to turn this situation around, we take up formal meditation, in which we train the mind with a chosen object. The purpose is for it to become a useful instrument in our hands. But now, we find that meditation does not come as easily as before. You have your chosen object of meditation, but meditation doesn't happen so naturally as when you are thinking of your beloved either. Now, you are fighting with your mind, trying to make it concentrate on your chosen object. Mind doesn't want to stay there. It wants to go back to something else that it would prefer to be thinking about, something else that it would prefer to be meditating upon. Most meditators commonly find this problem because of thoughts, rushing of thoughts, tornadoes, storms of thoughts going around in the mind in meditation. Because of this, people often think that meditation is a form of concentration and it must happen. I must run away from these thoughts. They think that meditation is to hold the mind on a particular object. This is far from the case. While it is true that with concentration, you can achieve single-pointedness, it is too artificial though. You may hold your mind on one idea, but the moment you relax your efforts, the mind's activity springs back. We have not transformed ourselves at all, but only applied a superficial fix. If your mind is truly settled, it should stay there when you relax your efforts. Like a well-trained dog, it should stay without you having to tie it up. Concentration is like tying up a dog so it doesn't run away. But in meditation, it stays put despite being given its freedom. Like a well-trained dog, mind remains focused on cherished object of meditation. This happens in the most natural way when we meditate with yogic transmission, or pranahuti as we call it in Sanskrit. To go deeply into meditation, one must relax and abandon all efforts. Can you fall asleep when you are trying so hard to sleep? No. Similarly, you cannot meditate when you are trying so hard to meditate. You just slip into it at some moment. Devoid of any anxiety to meditate well or deeply or to achieve anything special or great is the ideal condition to arrive at a meditative state. So, even though we begin with the thought of divine light, that thought soon turns into a feeling. That is why I often define meditation as moving from thinking to feeling, from intellect to intuition, and from knowledge to actual experience. The main problem with meditation, which we all face one time or the other, the biggest problem, people often complain about thoughts during meditation. Thoughts are always arising in the mind, and this becomes very noticeable during meditation. My guide used to say, just as eyes are to see, ears are to hear, nose is to smell, tongue is to taste, and so is mind to think. So when we try to suppress that very nature of mind, which is to think, we are going against nature. Then what is the solution? Solution is this. We need to regulate the mind. We need to train our mind in such a way so that it rests on those ideas, those thoughts, those subjectivity, so that we can dive deeper into those subjects only without being deviated into others. When thoughts do arise, instead of fighting with them, instead of struggling, it would be nice if we gently remind ourselves that I am meditating on the divine light present in my heart. If you go on paying attention to thoughts like the way you would pay attention to a barking dog, it's not going to help us. We have to keep on moving gently and softly. We have to understand why thoughts come during meditation, especially. It is not that we were not thinking other times or thoughts were not coming during other moments. They are always there. But during meditation, we become cognizant of it. Secondly, when the thoughts are there during other activities, they come, but we are busy doing so many other things. We are watching things and not paying attention to inner consciousness. So, thoughts, though they do arise, but they go unnoticed in our conscious mind. When we meditate, now you are face to face with your own consciousness. Your mirror, you're looking at yourself, and it's difficult to evade from this, especially during meditation. And all kinds of thoughts would come, especially negative thoughts, something that you did wrongly, or something that makes you feel ashamed, sometimes guilty. Very rarely, some noble thoughts may arise. But whatever be the thoughts, good or bad, any distraction, I think, disturbs our meditation. So we have to train the mind so that it becomes an instrument for our evolution. The mind can be our best friend or our worst enemy. Mastering this art of keeping our mind focused on one idea is often a challenge. When these thoughts disturb us too much, when it becomes overwhelming, then at that moment it will be best to take a deep breath and hold your breath for some time and see what happens. And resume your meditation. If then too your thoughts are disturbing, open your eyes for a few seconds and close again gently. See what happens. Or, if it is still overwhelming, then take up some nice book, read a passage or two, something that can remind you of divinity, something that reminds you of humanity, something that can remind you of love, compassion. Then resume meditation. Loving attitude, open-mindedness, joyful state, all this make our meditations very fruitful, very effective, very, I would say, contentful. If you are angry and try to meditate, see what happens at that time. Immediately after you are angry, try to meditate. Will that meditation be deep? Per contra, if you are so much in love, so happy, so joyful, and at that time you end up meditating, we slowly realize that yes, having a particular attitude prior to starting meditation can help us a long way. An outcome of meditation, each time we have a different attitude, will be different. So we slowly understand that certain attitudes are good to have, certain attitudes are worth ignoring, worth denying. Most important attitude that comes to mind is this, that my Lord, whatsoever it be, I am here to experience your presence. That's all. This is, I found to be the best attitude. I would like to explain in detail how we can create the conditions that will nurture the inner connection with our heart. It is easy to create the connection, but also it's, I think, equally simple and easier to keep nurturing and making this connection stronger. The process is very simple. Let's understand what happens. Generally, after meditation, the deep state of meditative consciousness, also called samadhi in ancient literature, lasts for a few seconds or few minutes. How to make it possible that this high level of meditative consciousness rests with us, for longest duration possible during the daytime? Our practice of meditation must result in meditative state. Even when we are not meditating, that is, when we are at work or going about our daily activities, and especially while sleeping, the meditative state must accompany us for longer and longer durations of the day and the night. So, how to foster this? The key to that is to create a cycle of constant connection with the heart. How do we create that cycle of constant connection? First, we start the day with morning meditation. Soon as we wake up, we try to offer to our own self a kind of a reminder that yes, I'm going to meditate. I like to connect with myself. It is like auto-suggestion to yourself. And as we remember to unite with our heart, we are setting the tone and direction for our day. Next, the cleaning technique. It is ideal to do our cleaning at the end of day's work, because during the day we acquire many impressions in the form, as repetitive thoughts, emotions, inner disturbances, etc. So we want to remove them so that we clear our inner space, our heart space. Cleaning also ensures that our work life and its stresses don't spill into our family and family life. Finally, at bedtime, just before we sleep, we do a short meditation, a prayerful meditation. We meditate for a few minutes, bringing our attention to the light in our heart, like we do in the morning. And we set our intentions, which is to be attuned to our heart at all times and be one with the highest potential that is within us. If possible, you can scan through all the day's activities, see where we went wrong, see where we need improve, and resolve at that time through this meditation in a very subtle way, in a very gentle way, how not to repeat the same mistake again. This resolution is improvement. And such constant improvements in ourselves makes us better and better all the time. This is what I would like to call it as continuous improvement. So, at bedtime, we kindle our longing for this inward connection to deepen, knowing that the guidance we need is also within our heart. Our heart is now our guide. As we go to sleep, this connection continues in our subconscious, making it easier for us to meditate the next morning. Thus, we are also able to make use of the idle, unproductive hours of sleep. Sleep, no doubt, gives us rest. It helps us recuperate our system at a physical level. But now, we are trying to make use of these hours of sleep to our better advantage in improving our consciousness. In Yoga Shastra, we call going from susupti or deep sleep into turiya state, the fourth condition, which is highly described. Maybe in future we'll be able to discuss more on turiya and turiyatit conditions, or the fourth and the stages lying beyond the fourth state. Anyway, first thing we do in the morning consciously is to connect. And last thing we do at bedtime is to bring this conscious connection with ourselves into the subconscious while we go to sleep. And over time, through repetition and through fashioning a routine, through the cycle of connection, we expand our capacity to be attuned to our heart and the highest potential within us at all times. That is also why I recommend that we got to fix a regular time. We should set aside a regular place for daily meditation or practice. It will take more than one session to feel progress. But I emphasize that your condition, your confidence in mastering the techniques, in tracking and in validating the results of yourself is what Heartfulness meditation strongly recommends. We are now coming to the end of our session. Every day, you'll have newer and deeper and longer lasting experiences. I assure you, I promise you, you will have them. Like any other skill, meditation requires discipline. Practice and witness the results. And one last thing I would emphasize, when you do meditate, do it with a joyful heart, joyful attitude. Meditation must be a joyful exercise. Only then we can master it. Thank you. Namaste.
Do you think politics can bring freedom and peace? Watch this video to know.